At the turn of centuries, millennia, the epoch not only in mankind, but also in the framework of life itself, and within the destiny of Yegor Letov, things were troubled. To the point, or even more correctly to say, the red line and ending to all of this shift in destiny was the concert in Izhevsk in 1999, in which there was an incredible furor in the performance of Letov and Makhno. After this concert, the band once again suffered losses. Letov shot the band in the foot by expelling Makhno from Grob. On the one hand, you have to act decisively when you are not satisfied with something in a member. But on the other hand, after Kuzma's departure, there were no guitarists left in the band at all, and the last of them were expelled.
Только свежий воздух, только свежий воздух, свежий воздух, свежий, свежий воздух, свежий воздух, свежий воздух.
Such a change had a bad effect on the band, and to be more precise, on its techniques and composition. For some time, Letov still organized acoustic concerts and assembled some strange lineups like the concert in Munich with the band of Tosnik. At that time, his brother Sergei and guitarist Alexander Chesnikov appeared in the band. They brought a new, fresh air, as they say, and a sound to the group. Then in 2001, Letov went to Jerusalem, to Haifa, there where he sang his famous performance, the song Memory Society, to the cries of the Jewish people.
Я вот не помню, ехали вечно, мы играли всего первый и последний раз, или два раза, вот и все. Давайте вы будете петь, а я буду играть.
Letov, yes, I wanted to be baptized, but there was a problem. It cost $200. I was terribly angry about this fad, and I am still angry to this day. I don't feel sorry for the money, but the fad itself disgusts me. It's sacrilege. I cannot charge money for baptism. It kills the beauty of the moment. When we took and went to the territories, we got to the Jordan, and there I took a dip. And since I consider myself an official Christian, and all religions together, and therefore I wear the universal cross, though if I had not done it, I would still be one.
Since then, the band went in a slightly different direction, from chaos on stage to adequate playing of instruments. For some time, Letov tried, either because of contradictions or because of experiments in the stylistic direction of the band, to sing without splitting and tearing of the voice.
Смывает в небо за моим за окном непобежденная страна.
Or he simply just could not imitate his past voice. But in the end, he gave up this idea. At the beginning of the 90s, it became noticeable how his voice was getting lower and lower. He probably killed it. He wasn't going to stop. So his voice said to him, "Igor Fedorovich, I think you're fucked up, it's time to stop." And he slowly started to die, just like Letov himself. After that, Starfall was recorded, Probably he had very few ideas, and there came a certain creative crisis, writer's block or artist block, you could say. Letov had his idea of recording covers of Soviet songs. This became a kind of outgrowth of restructuring his inner world. Starfall fits surprisingly into this concept of neither living nor dead. It doesn't sound tearful, it doesn't go wild, but with a slightly absent drive, as if from a gray purgatory zone, neither here nor there, referring to the past that never really existed, hence this stretchy, half-dead sound.
На дальней станции сойду, трава по пояс, зайду в траву, как в море босиком, и без меня обратный скорый поезд растает где-то в шуме городском.
И без меня обратный скорый поезд растает где-то в шуме городском. Растает где-то в шуме городском. Растает где-то в шуме городском.
In those years, he was in the hospital several times because of his idle lifestyle, after which he composed the song Reanimation and Long Happy Life, realizing that it was necessary to stop using drugs. Igor wrote it under the impression of what he saw in Omp's intensive care unit, where he was lying under the drip in a serious condition and watched how people were passing away around him.
I thought what death was. I just suddenly realized what it is. I clearly realized that something that is a human being can be like a fish tank that is inside the ocean, and when you die, it breaks down. It still remains there, but it no longer has a frame. After that, when you realize these things, you become a little bit of a different person. That is, you are no longer alive, no longer dead, but somehow eternal.
Счастье распирать, череп крепко разворочен, и мозги текут сквозь стены, двери, окна, другие были рядом, торопливо постигали положение вещей, созерцая похождение текущего повсюду терпеливо, продолжая ритуально повторять
During the period of Reanimation and Long Happy Life, the band changes its habitat, moving from big halls and cinemas to different kinds of clubs. Deepening into himself, this time, he didn't disband from the group and didn't create a second project. Although the sound and state of the band at that time was similar to Yegor and the Fucked Up, to be more precise, it was a symbiosis that lasted until Yegor's death.
In 2002, the band played more than 40 concerts and even performed the only time in history at a corporate party, at Euroset at the invitation of the famous progressist Shishvarki, which however Egor did not like. He did not want to remember this event. Of course, the romance of movie theaters with broken glass, broken chairs, and riot police had its own charm and appeal to the punk music goers. Gorbushka, however, offered a qualitatively new experience, both in terms of sound and everything. It was one of the best concerts ever accomplished. The hall was packed, Even VIP boxes with tickets for 2000 rubles, which seemed like a prohibitive figure to me, because we used to make tickets for 100 or 200 rubles. Egor and his musicians stayed not in my apartment, but in a hotel. But they were all very modest people and did not become bourgeoisie in any way. And the hotels were not particularly bourgeoisie. Once, for example, I put them in a hotel for the Society for the Blind.
DSJ with Reanimation were absolutely horizon albums, similar to the great and definitive the best of the band's career. In Yegor's mind, it was one prolonged soldier's dream, a mirage model of a world in a state of incessant mobilization.
By the mid 2000s, Letov, who had never served in the army and had never been to any war, but who actively emphasized this theme, he slightly adjusted the usual formation of these metaphors. He began to use more cautious image of war dreams to characterize his own songs. I would venture to suggest that they could equally be called war hallucinations. Under the influence of LSD, there is sometimes a moment of strange, almost army-like unity with the whole world, when you feel like a tired infantryman. Their consciousness starts to be full of some service dreams and about overcoats, campfires, field kitchen, especially towards the end of the event. It seems to me that this parable-like otherworldly patriotism of Egor, or to use Thomas Mann's expression, military somnambulism, with his demo bell songs and soldiers' dreams, come from the same chemical home for the sad inhabitants of the earth. The best example of this is the composition Order Number 2027 from the album Dolgaya Shevlize Jize. This is definitely a work of deeply psychedelic culture, describing essentially a trip and musically designed as a trip. It's like mythogenic Lovecast, only which Letov's inherent seriousness, which, however, is somewhat disturbed by the dairy wear of the quiet Pepperstein-like appearance in the finale.
In 2007, the album Why Do Dreams Come True was released, which became their last. It became the epigee of his mystical actualization, when at first glance all the songs ceased to be understandable and took psychedelic, some kind of Taoism. Instead of some slogan songs and manifestations of a language understandable to the masses, in his work appear a lot of localized things that are still covered with a shroud of mystery. His music was still slightly poetic, avant-garde, and not easily understood or translated, even to those of us living in Russia and speaking the Russian language. By the time the third and last of their works was released, Civil Defense had already practically stopped intimidating people with its edgy, unconventional nature. The band was touring continuously. The songs started to be played on the radio. Not that much, but still. The era of lurking in movie theaters, waiting for reconstruction and shouting, "Turn off the lights in the hall," was a thing of the past. Now they played at quite secular venues, ranging from various disco restaurants and clubs of the Ministry of Internal Affairs to pop theaters and sport and concert complexes. Just in St. Petersburg, sport and concert complexes, there was a small scandal, because performing at the festival Rock Against Drugs in September 2007, Letov started his performance with the song Glory to the Psychonauts, which fractured the original organizers, who burst into the dressing room after the performance screaming and telling him to never play it again.
Привычные стволы обрастают ветвями, ветви не вечные становятся сухами. Сучья рубят, мы летим, как ракеты, сияющий космос внутри. Оставься слава психонавта, слава пионера, лакового проходца.
Perhaps Letov most found this occurrence quite humorous, much like the time Throbbing Gristle played at an all-boys Catholic private school. In this sense, the final composition, Autumn, with its circular refrain, Nobody Lost, serves as an extremely important warning. In the spring, this formula seemed to me quite soothing, even a bit treacherously detached. Now, I rather see it as an absolute equation of doom, an ominous form of continuous decensus, far more oppressive than any experience of the holiday is over. People received Why Dreams Are Dreaming not worse than the previous two albums, but with a certain wariness. The record really turned out to be more complex, tender, even sentimental than anything ever composed by Defense. There were no contextual action movies and vulgar narratives like Stronger and Fuck It, or double-strung psychodramas like Long Happy Life and Reanimation. Strictly speaking, this is the first Grob album without a single swear word at all, unless you count Starfall. In full accordance with what Letov said in the poem Reanimation, someone escaped from me by swearing. Notes, it seems to me that Igor was greatly confused by the fact that he put himself out amazingly powerfully and convincingly, and he didn't really get any feedback from his revelations from anyone, especially from those he was counting on. Maybe it was in vain. After that, Letov continued to give concerts for more than a year and even wrote one more song, which he never managed to release.
Анархисты говорят, экстремисты говорят, вся природа говорит, раздирающе горит. Подать нам всего и сразу, я сумел себя скончать. Не успели откачать, просыпается земля, вся в остатках бытия. Подать нам всего и сразу, тороплив зеленый уж, красноглазый уклюж. Небеса такая хлынь, здравствуй, Родина, полынь. Подать нам всего и сразу, залетает лепесток через запад на восток. Прикорни, зеленый змей, на могилке на моей. Подать нам всего и сразу.
At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 days after the last concert in Ekaterinburg, at his new apartment in Omsk, Yegor died suddenly in his sleep due to cardiac arrest.
Он мне позвонил.
Зо.
В командировку едет.
Козырь как красивенько.
Here we are, our hands are all untied. We'd rather walk than ride. Then ride and ride and ride, 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 ride and ride and ride. There you stand, your eyes are in your head. You should have stayed in bed.